Hey guys, I'm Greg Street. I'm one of the designers on League of Legends. And we're trying a new format here to address some of the questions we're getting from players. So let us know how it works. And if it's cool, we'll try to do more of them. What I wanted to talk about was a question we're getting from a lot of you all right now about the nature of randomness and how, as designers, do we think about, we call it variance or randomness or RNG. We've done some features like the dragon changes for this season and now the living jungle plants in preseason. Some of you are coming back with, but what role does randomness have in a strategy game? Particularly when you hear us talk about things like, hey, dodging was bad, we don't like dodge anymore, and even crit may have some problems. So bear with me, I'll try to explain how we're thinking and see if it makes sense to you. So I think, as gamers, we often have a visceral reaction to randomness as a bad thing. I totally get it. We have all been there when you're in some game where it just feels like BS, that you've done everything perfectly, but the game rolls a dice and you fail in what you're trying to do. That is super frustrating, and that is not at all what we're trying to recreate. Designers will sometimes talk about the difference between input randomness and output randomness. Output randomness is the one we don't like. That's where you've already decided what you want to do, and you try to do it, and then the computer rolls a dice and says, oh, sorry, you missed. There's some games that need that to function. I wouldn't want to play a role-playing game without, a D20. But we think in a strategy game, particularly a competitive multiplayer game like League, that is super frustrating. You have already decided what to do, and now the game is interfering with your ability to carry it out. On the other hand, the other type of randomness is input randomness. This is where you're presented with a situation and you have to make decisions based on what you're seeing. The easiest way I can explain it is if you think about a board game like Settlers of Catan, you start the game off by rearranging the terrain, and then everyone has to kind of adapt to what that board looks like. Or another board game, Carcassonne, where you're kind of building the landscape as you play the game. You're not exactly sure how things are going to come about, and you have to adapt. That's really what we're going for with things like the way drakes change over time. You know what's coming up. It's not that you discover the buff after you've killed the dragon. The decision's supposed to be, given this information, does my team really want this dragon? Do we really want to stop the enemy from getting it? These should be like tweaks to your strategy, not the entire strategy. And they, in general, shouldn't be the thing that allows a weaker skilled player to dominate a more highly skilled player. Another real world example is a game like poker, where I don't pretend to be a poker expert by any stretch, but if you think of Texas Hold'em, there are certain cards that you see and certain cards that are face down. You don't know what those are, and that element of randomness adds a lot of the depth to the game. But it's a carefully calibrated number of cards that are down and number of cards that are face up. If there were like 20 cards down, you would have almost no control of the outcome. And if there was no cards down, you would have perfect information about whether or not your hand was worth playing. It's definitely possible to take even this form of input randomness too far. That's not the intention. We view there being all these different components of mastery in a game like League. Game knowledge, mechanical execution, being able to do things like skill shots, coordinating with a team, making good decisions about, is it time to take that tower, is it time to take that dragon? And dealing with incomplete information is a big part of that. In a multiplayer game like League, particularly given the way vision works in the game, you don't have complete information about where the enemy is. Jungle ganking is all about, I wasn't exactly sure where the guy was or when he was going to come out. What we're trying to do with randomness is create situations where you have to react to what's going on in the game. You have to make decisions often on the spot. You can't just be pre-programmed to know how you're going to execute according to things that happen every single game. It may take us a while to get the tuning right. Some of these features may not work, and we certainly introduced things to League that ended up not playing out the way we hoped they would once they're out in front of all of you guys. So let us know how it goes. Please keep sending feedback. We'd also love feedback on this format as a whole. If helps you to kind of understand where our head is at, so that then you can help us, give the feedback we need to evaluate whether or not we're hitting those goals. Thanks a lot.